evening, everybody. How are you this evening? Ready to have some fun? Great. Well, I promise that you will. We have had a lot of fun this week. We really have, but we have also worked very, very hard. So we all hope you enjoy yourselves. Let's start by praying. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for this lovely evening that you have granted us. And we ask that you would bless us with accuracy, of course, but most of all with enjoyment. We hope that each student enjoys themselves playing the music. And we ask that this would be a blessing to all those who listen. In Jesus' name we ask these things. Amen.
Amen.
All right, so we have crafted a program this year based on gadgets and gizmos of everyday life and video game music. So we hope that this is going to be an enjoyable musical journey. And we are going to start off, right off the bat, with everyone's favorite gadget, the telephone, right? Well, this is actually not like telephones like these, like the rectangles, right, that I call rectangles. This is actually goes back to the 1920s or 40s, and we will be honoring the old-time telephone. So this is one of the best known and loved jazz standards of forever, and I'm going to read you how it came to be, because it's kind of a cool story, and I couldn't tell it better. Pennsylvania 65000 is the big band jazz standard that honors the telephone number of New York City's Hotel Pennsylvania, just across 7th Avenue from the famed Pennsylvania Railroad station. In the old days of telephones, before area codes, the first two numbers were called exchanges. So we had 7 numbers, but the first 2 were called exchanges, and they were always represented by a selected word, the first 2 letters of which substituted for the corresponding numbers on the phone dial. Remember back when we had dials and the numbers corresponded to a particular letter. So the first 2 letters of this telephone, this famous telephone number, were PA73, right, the corresponding. So that's hence Pennsylvania. So whenever the telephone person at the hotel answered, they would say, Pennsylvania 65000. Okay, so this is the longest, it's reputed to be the longest continuously used telephone number in New York City. And the complete number today includes the area code 212, and it still rings in the same hotel switchboard. At the time, the Hotel's Cafe was a favorite venue for the top swing era bands, and virtually all the jazz musicians performing there would routinely call the hotel's main desk to make reservations during their run. So they were very used to hearing, Pennsylvania 65000, may I help you? Right? So Jerry Gray, and who was in the Glenn Miller Band, penned this music. Now, because this is the first piece, I'm immediately going to put you all to work. And the idea is that on the second one, only on the second one, I will ask you all to say Pennsylvania 65000. So I'm going to give 1, 2, and then we're going to all say it. Ready? And 1, 2. Pennsylvania 65000. Great, you're ready for performance. And here it is. next piece is a fantastic movement from Verdi's Requiem, and it's called Dies Irae, and as the guys here very pointedly told me, I have no idea how to speak Latin, which is totally true. Dies Irae, meaning the day of wrath. Okay, and this is a very difficult piece. I think they're doing a fantastic job. And the reason that this is part of today's program is because it is used in a video game called Mobile Strike. But this is just on its own. It's one of the best pieces of music depicting the wrath of the Lord. hope that our next two pieces bring you back memories of gaming. I'm not gaming, so they really don't for me, but I know that this music is very dear to many of you. And I also want to mention that Gerudo Valley has been a request for at least 4 years, right? So every year, a couple of the students have been saying, can we please do Gerudo Valley? So here it is. Super Mario, Gerudo Valley, both by the same composer. They couldn't be differenter music. So this was the first portion of our concert, which is brought to you by the advanced students. So every day we split it up, and then we have the advanced students learn more repertoire, more advanced, and then we have the full orchestra. But as we all know, in every orchestra, violas and cellos just don't get any melodies right. So every year I try to make up for that, being a cellist myself. So I'm going to ask my cellists to come up. And while they come up, I just want to tell you a little bit that every day at camp we have a theme. And today's theme was Twin Day. So you were supposed to dress up like somebody else. And I would like to call to the stage my quintuplets. I just want to make sure that no one here gets any notion that what happens here is my doing. These are the true heroes in the trenches, so let's give them a hand. As my friend Ivanna put it today, they create the transformation of the second violin section every single year. So Miss Elizabeth Horst, Mrs. Elizabeth Horst, sorry, Mrs. Jessica Schuckler, Mrs. Margot Guillory, and Miss Lauren Waller. Give them a hand because they are... I have a feeling once we were all here, you couldn't even tell us apart, right? Only our mother could tell us apart. If you grew up watching TV in the 80s, it is quite probable you watched quite a bit of Inspector Gadget. With that name, obviously, this music theme had to make it into our concert. Please make a sound if you watch this show. And speaking of many thanks, I would like to also give many thanks to Mr. Derek Stoltz. He is, let's give him a hand. Yeah. Okay, so he is a very busy professional percussionist, and he just got home from touring for 1 month, and he graciously agreed to do this for us, and he's making us sound like $1,000,000, so we really thank him. We also want to thank his minions, my husband, and Lauren Waller as well. Okay, so here is Inspector Gadget. full orchestra. So the rest of the program, everybody will play. The first piece that we have is full of, this full orchestra was inspired by video game music. So it's meant to not mimic, but honor video game music. I would like to say you might want to fasten your seatbelts for this one. And while we are saying thank you, I would like to thank our pianist, Mrs. Schuckler. That was like on cue, right? Real right, all right. So our next piece is by Beethoven, and it has quite the apocryphal legend behind it, so I'm going to tell it anyway, but I'm telling you it's apocryphal. It could be, or it could not be true. So the legend goes that when Beethoven heard of his friend's new invention, the metronome, tick-tock, tick-tock, to keep you in tempo, he penned this movement as a tribute to it. So when you hear any of the sections going tick, 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 they're meant to be mimicking the metronome. Enjoy this. did we ever get anywhere before GPSs? I think my children don't know what a map is. I don't even know that they have ever seen.
You have reached your destination.
And that is technology for you. Okay. So, we hope this piece is as funny for you guys as it was for us to put together.
Begin by heading north in the key of G major. You are on the fastest route. You should reach your destination in 96 measures. Turn left onto Viola Avenue. Turn right onto Jello Street. Stay in the left lane and crescendo. Continue straight in D major. Turn right onto Bates Boulevard. At the next entrance, play Forte. In 2 measures, take the second ending. Take the second ending. Heavy traffic ahead. Prepare to slow down. Head south in the key of C major. Make a U-turn. Merge together and play in unison. Stand on one foot. On second thought, please do not sing. Sing your part.
Stand on one foot.
Stand on one foot. Sing your part. On second thought, please do not sing. Sit down and play legato for 4 measures. Use the next exit to take the coda. You have reached your destination.
Well, technology. That's that for you. Okay. Okay. So our next piece is the syncopated clock. Leroy Anderson was a wartime intelligence officer in Washington, D.C. when he was invited to conduct the famous Boston Pops. So for that occasion, he composed this piece about a clock with an offbeat, or a syncopated clock. Particularly special for me because when I was very little, like maybe 3, back in the Middle Ages, yes. My dad would sit me down and I would play the clock on 2/8 on the piano and play the piece. So I love this piece. So about 12 years ago, I pulled out this chicken reel, and the kids loved it. So the next year they asked, could we play it again? And I thought, sure, why not? And then the rest is history. We just don't even have to rehearse it. It just plays itself every year. And every year, if I don't rehearse it one day, I will pay for it. So here is the legend, chicken reel. A 1, a 2. A 1, 2, 3. in a life so full of gadgets and gizmos and video games, and with our life so full, every year we have a hymn for the week, and I thought, well, actually my daughter helped me think about this. My daughter's great thinking. She said, how about simple gifts? And I thought, this is great. So I'm going to ask you so first of all, this piece, the second violins are playing the first violin part. Yay! Great job. When I have them stand, please sing the one verse. And then after that, it gets a little more elaborate, so just enjoy it. When the seconds stand up, the lyrics are in the back. So let's think about how to get to a simpler life. This week has been such a pleasure and such a shower of blessings. You know, when things went going wrong, like GPS or whatever, the Lord would shower us with blessings. So I would like to point out a couple more people. Mrs. Forsey, who has been wonderful at assisting me. Here she is, please stand up. And her daughter, Annabelle, who has been a jack of all trades. Annabelle, yeah! All right. I would like to very specifically thank all the staff at Rockbridge, Daniel, Tim, Amy, Shannon, everyone was so helpful all along, and my very wonderful camp counselors, Alexia and Annalise, please stand. It really does take a village. It really does. It's amazing. So we will not talk about Bruno, but we will be definitely rocking your socks with our final and possibly favorite piece of the week, music from Encanto. And if you want to, we don't talk about Bruno, you may sing. And so we finished. So I thank everyone. I want to thank everyone for all the gifts, the chocolate, the flowers, the meals, the drinks, everything. I really thank you, but most of all, I want to thank all the parents here for entrusting us with these wonderful, well-behaved, extremely talented kids. Another hand for them.